Blog Talk Radio.
Conversations here, Viatorian Voices. Conversations on the Way is the podcast series, and I'm Jim Mitchell, your host. And every time we get together, we meet some new people from the Viatorian community, really different places throughout the country so far that we've had a chance to talk to and learn about some of the things they have going on. And it's students, adults, all different individuals who are finding new and meaningful ways to serve those in need and put the Catholic gospel teachings to practice. And today we're going to have a great conversation with Amanda Murphy and Kathleen Hoenke. And Kathleen, I hope I got that right. She is the program director for the Saint Kateri Conservation Center. And we're going to find out a little bit about what they've been doing. So first of all, Amanda, Kathleen, both of you, thanks for being here today.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
Good to have you. And I want to get into the stories of you and see how they come together. Should be very interesting. So, Amanda, let's start with you. You're a not too distant graduate from Saint Viator High School here in Arlington Heights. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Yeah, absolutely. So I attended Saint Viator High School. I graduated in 2017. Since then, I've tried to stay pretty close to the Viatorians, just volunteering with them frequently, really living out and trying to articulate the Viatorian mission and vision. Since then, I've been going to Butler to study education, and next year I'll be a theology teacher staying in Indianapolis.
Excellent. Good. Well, we're going to learn about some of your projects and the things you've done. Now, Catherine, I know you're involved, and I mentioned in the introduction of the Saint Kateri Conservation Center. Tell me a little bit about your role there, first of all.
Sure, yeah, thank you. So the Saint Kateri Conservation Center is a 501c3 nonprofit Catholic conservation organization, and I really came on board about 2 years ago. I have a background in environmental management, and I really felt a calling to live my faith through my work, and I found the Saint Kateri Conservation Center at that time. And at the time, there was a strategic plan and a board of directors, but a lot of the programs that were in that plan weren't executed yet. And so I came on board and really helped to bring some of those programs to life. And so we now have several programs that are active, and I help to direct those programs.
And are they located in different locations? Where would we find some of your work being done? Right,
yeah. So we are online for now. We are a national organization, and so our programs are found on our website. Our education outreach program takes place on social media, and then we also have a Catholic Ecology library that's on our website. And then our Saint Kateri Habitat program is really open to anyone in the nation who wants to participate in that program and help to change the way that they manage their property. And then we also have an Indigenous program that is new as well, and we are a land trust. And so all of those are national, and we don't currently have a in-person nature center yet. We hope to one day.
Interesting. Great. Okay. Well, hopefully we can spread the word here a little bit and get people to be more aware of the effort then, and that may help along the way. Amanda, I'm going to assume, based on what we might be talking about today, that somewhere along the line you discovered an interest in ecology or the environment. Can you kind of pinpoint where that all began for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So after I graduated from Saint Viator High School, I took an interest in the Viatorian Giving Garden that they have on the property of the Province Center. So I took on a plot with my mom and donated, I think, as an entire garden, several hundred pounds of produce to the local food pantry. And then in the most recent side of the Saint Kateri Garden. So that's really cool that it's all organic growing practices. And I've taken this passion for environmentalism further in myself by doing an environmental internship of sorts with Viatorians. So I evaluated the Province Center's environmental footprint and then made suggestions for how they can improve and how they can lessen their impact on the environment, and justified it through Catholic theology.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit. Now, was that part of the young adult summer placement program that the Viatorians have? Is that how you got started there?
Yeah, it was sort of a part of that. I had been wanting to intern with the Viatorians for several years at that point, so I worked with Brother John for several years to bring this experience to life, and I think this should be the first of several positions for the young adult summer coordinator. So we'll see what it turns into in the future.
And tell me what you learned during that analysis and trying to evaluate, the Viatorian Center. What came to the forefront for you that you found most interesting and could help them with the most?
Yeah, I think personally I learned a lot of how to make environmentalism, like put it into data, and then make it really approachable for people. So some of the residents at the Province Center didn't know a whole lot about environmentalism, but they were interested in embracing it. So part of my job was learning how to make it really approachable. The actions you can take that will make larger actions as an entire organization a little bit easier.
Interesting. Now, Catherine, I want to come back to you a little bit. You mentioned a habitat program that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Can you go into a little bit of detail for us on that?
Sure, yeah. So our Saint Kateri Habitat program is essentially a habitat certification program similar to like what you might find with the National Wildlife Federation or others, where property owners can certify their property that to share with others that property is working in sync with wildlife and serving as habitat for people and wildlife. And then our program really puts a Catholic spin on that. And so it also adds into the mix that these habitats are also prayer spaces, and they are places to connect with God. And what we hope to do through this program is to help people bring more of types of actions like planting native plants and preserving wild spaces and sustainable agriculture and things like that are more in line with Laudato Si. And then we share what they're doing through our program on our maps and on our website and social media so that it'll inspire other Catholics to do the same. And the Viatorian Garden is one of those habitats.
And our time is going to fly by here, so I want to make sure, Kathleen, you've mentioned the website a couple of times. Can you share the web address with us, too? And I'll ask you to do it now, and then maybe we'll get you once more before we let you go. Where can people find out more?
Sure. We are at kateri.org, KETERI.org, and the program is free. We do have signs for sale if people would like to put those on their property. They're really pretty signs. But the program is free, and we're really here to raise awareness and to help people understand how they might be able to take actions on their property that's different than what they might have thought, that have more bang for your buck ecologically, that can do more for the environment than what they might know already.
And boy, there's two tracks here. There's the environment, and then there's sort of the garden. And Amanda, you mentioned hundreds of pounds of produce. Maybe can either one of you or both share a little bit maybe about what we should know about food poverty in society today? I think most people really undervalue or underestimate how widespread a problem that is.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak to that. So I think in my experience, food pantries are able to relatively easily get their hands on canned produce or canned goods, goods that don't spoil at all. But it's a lot more difficult to get their hands on fresh produce. And so the Giving Garden helps address this need because people who are facing food insecurity, they might have a really difficult time finding healthy, fresh food. So with this Giving Garden, they ask the plot of service, the vast majority of it to the food pantry in order to help address this need. So you're taking care of the environment, you're not putting any pesticides or anything bad to the environment into your garden, and then you're helping to serve people in your community as well.
And I'm really intrigued, and I think based on what we try and accomplish with this podcast, by both of your comments about putting a sort of a Catholic spin, I think was one of the terms one of you used, on ecology and the environment. So maybe, Kat, can you talk first a little bit about that? When you say that, what does that mean, and how does that take action?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that the center does really well is it helps people who have a love of nature maybe understand, and this was me, I very much was a cradle Catholic, but kind of wasn't totally living my faith, but I always was obsessed with nature, hence my career. But I feel like I didn't realize how much our faith is intertwined with ecology and conservation. I mean, it is just, you can find it anywhere, and on our library actually too. And so this effort really, caring for the environment, caring for your property, and helping with poverty through growing food in these gardens, it all is connected, just like it says in Let Us See. Everything is connected right down to the relationships between creatures and their environment and ecology. It's all a part of the Creator's plan, and our faith is right in line with that. And it's all over all of the documents and the encyclical and everything.
And tell me a little bit just about how average people, what can they do right now? Obviously, we'll send them to their website to learn more, but just a couple of things, whether it's related to food or the environment, helping to preserve our planet, a couple of quick things people might be able to do easily.
Sure. I can speak a little bit to what people can do in their yard, especially for water management, especially in areas where there might be some runoff and flooding. Planting native plants and rain gardens, and really having your property be less of a barren lawn that we are so used to in society right now, and making sure to really bring back those what plants would have been here naturally and have evolved here is a big, big thing that can be done, because insects cannot eat non-native plants mostly, and we rely on pollination for our gardens and our agriculture and everything. And 1 in 4 bites of food that you eat comes from pollination. So planting native plants in your yard is a really big way that you can do something to help. And then also, rain barrels, not spraying with pesticides, and bringing your property to a more natural landscape, for sure.
Interesting. Now, Amanda,
just to go off of that, a lot of those things that Kat is suggesting directly included in my environmental report as a part of this semi-internship that I did with Viatorians. So hopefully within the coming years, the Viatorians will really start to embrace these callings that can really help restore biodiversity and care for our environment.
And I was just going to ask you that, Amanda. We've got about a minute left here or so, but we talked about the Catholic portion of this. You mentioned your experience in the Viatorian community through high school and internships and things. Tell me about how the Viatorians interact and fit into this, and how it meets their mission as well.
Absolutely. Well, one thing that I think about a lot is that care for God's creation is a part of the Catholic. And the Viatorians have really been trying to embrace this. So through the report that I gave out, they've been presenting that to their entire forum and trying to embrace that as an organization to make larger changes at the province center, at the school. And those large-scale changes can be really effective, but it also really does start with the individual. So that helps serve the Viatorian mission and vision, because although it does care for the environment, it does help marginalized people in our society, because they tend to be harmed the most from environmental issues. For example, climate refugees. We have a lot of immigration work in the Viatorians, so it fits a lot of different needs, and environmentalism is the most basic need, I think, in order to continue ministering, because if we don't have a planet, we can't do ministry. We can't love God. We can't love others.
Well stated, and a place for us to wrap up. I'd love to have both of you back to talk more on a future podcast here on Viatorian Voices. And a reminder, the Viatorian community proclaims Jesus Christ and his gospel and raises communities where, as we've heard today, faith is lived, deepened, and celebrated. Founded by Venerable Louis Kerb, the Viatorians are professed brothers and priests and lay associates who we've met along the way, striving to do everything well so that through us Jesus may be adored and loved. And that includes the Viatorian Community Garden, and which is registered with the Saint Kateri Conservation Center. And let's point out again, Kateri.org, Kateri.org is where you can go to get more information. To Amanda and Kate, thanks for being with us, and thanks to everyone for listening.